Well, speaking of, we just mentioned Muskrat Falls. What do you think, guys? I know. I've written about it, and I'm a bit negative. I admit it. I look at it, and I go, this makes no sense to me. I'm not prepared to condemn it, but I got to tell you, based on what I'm hearing and what I understand, and maybe I got it wrong, but if you're going to sell me power from a project that I'm going to pay for, from a project that I'm going to own, while I'm selling other power from that project to other people for less, I got a problem. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I have a problem with that. We're going to build a project. It's going to cost us 14.3 kilowatts, 14.3 cents per kilowatt hour to generate that energy. By the way, it's going to cost us more than that, apparently. That's what it costs to generate the energy. The transmission of that energy, the fact that it's going to go to Newfoundland Light and Power, and then Newfoundland Light and Power is going to add their requirements onto that. Before that energy gets delivered to me, it's not 14.3 cents per kilowatt hour that I'm going to be paying for electricity. Once Muskrat Falls comes on stream, I'm going to be paying 17, 18, 19 cents per kilowatt hour. But I'm going to sell it across the border for 7, 8, and 9. And to me, that's a problem. Anyway, if you want to talk about it this morning, feel free to weigh in on it because, like I said, I'm only going by what I've read and what I've heard. And we are back. We're going to line number 7, and we're going to say hello to Charlie. Hi, Charlie.
Yes, good morning, Randy.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Oh, doing fine, thank you.
Good.
Randy, I want to speak about the Muskrat Falls project.
Oh, yes, sir.
I was initial supporter. I looking at Holyrood and getting rid of that monster there, right?
Absolutely.
The economics of it, I'm starting to think as you are. I don't see the economics anymore. I can see it that we're really heading for a bad one in terms of consumer what they pay as well as our debt load, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at a couple of things there. We're saying 14 cents, which is pretty high anyway, right?
Right.
We're saying that as if it's gospel. Now, I was reading a couple of days ago that dam costs, when they build dams all over the world, the overrun is on average 56%. So if you talk about the cost of the project, we're bound to go from $6 billion to God knows what, 8 or 9.
Well, that would be as I understand it, the dam cost is around 2 to 3 billion.
Yes.
So then add 56% to that. Add another billion. In other words, you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's a speculative piece. You've got to believe that your numbers are stronger than that, and that you've got a greater control of that cost than that.
Well, we tend to want to believe that because we trust the people in charge that they know what they're doing. They're supposed to be the experts.
Yes.
Randy, if these cost overruns happen, they happen anyway. But when you read a piece like that, you have to think, why will we be such an exception? And I've got no doubt we won't be.
Well, the part that I find fascinating is, and maybe somebody will answer that for me, is why are we doing it?
Well,
why isn't the private sector?
Yes.
Why aren't international financiers and major private sector companies who want to get their hands on this? Why aren't they doing this? Why are we doing it?
Well, unfortunately, this is what, if you look at the motivation behind this project. Now, I like Danny. I was a Danny fan for most things, not all things. Danny wanted to bypass Quebec in the worst kind of a way. We all know that.
Right.
It was ego-driven to a large degree at that stage, and we're all subject to ego-driven things, right? I'm wondering if the ego-driven bypass Quebec final project for the Premier before he leaves, because that would be the feather in the hat, did that outweigh economics? Because all of us thought that when it was going through, it was Gull Island power. We didn't think of the small bitty from Muskrat Falls.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was announced that the cable would not be able to take Gull Island power, I was flabbergasted, as many others were.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at wind power in terms of a partial replacement of that power from Muskrat Falls, and have Holyrood as a backup, Randy, the wind, as a gardener, the wind hardly ever stops blowing. I suppose you get about 2 or 3 days a month at the most, right?
Right.
If you looked at the cost of developing wind power projects, because they were even looking at one in St. Anthony at one point, if you look at that all over the island, are you saying that we couldn't replace those megawatts they're talking about to have Holyrood as a backup? I don't think that's ever really been investigated. If it has, where's the figures on that? Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it has. I don't know if it has or not.
And the fact that we've got these wind generating places already in Ramian, that we have things we can use. We kind of are familiar with the technology and what it can give us. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying that there is an alternative, but it's never been considered.
You know what I wonder, Charlie, in the end now, and maybe you know, and I know as soon as you say his name, everybody gets all up in arms, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to go and see what was the deal that Roger Grimes had.
Well, looking back at that deal, I would say the only sensible way, and I've changed my mind on this, but the only sensible way is to go through Quebec. And that deal, in hindsight, is not looking that bad after all.
You know, and I don't know all the relevant parts.
Well, it certainly wasn't a Churchill Falls type deal, and maybe we didn't get. There was something about us not having the total ownership that was supposed to have.
My understanding, and I don't know. Maybe if Pat, we may have to try and find Roger Grimes. Well, my understanding was that the deal that he had is that Hydro-Quebec were going to build the Lower Churchill, and we were going to own it, and they were going to buy the power from us at the border at going rates, and that where the Upper Churchill had a ceiling price on it, the Lower Churchill would have a floor price such that we could never lose the development, that we would always be generating enough income, even if energy prices fell, that we would be able to reimburse Hydro-Quebec for their investment.
There was some,
and it sounds to, if all I'm saying is if that's true, why didn't we do that?
Because there was some sticking point, and my memory fails me. That
I don't know either.
One thing they got held up about, but if you look at it now, that deal looks very, very good, and I hesitate to say it because I was one of the ones that said
we all have,
away, right?
We have all been, because I think we've all been caught up for a long time in the desire to beat Quebec somehow.
Yes, bypass Quebec, you know. But the economics, the more I look at it, I see Newfoundland in 10 years after that, and there won't be a tree left because just about everybody will be out in the woods trying to get firewood, you know?
Well, you know.
It's 14.1. I just doubt that figure.
Well, that's 14.1 to generate. That's not 14.1 to sell.
That's right, the selling thing. And they're not really, you can see they get defensive. They're not really forthcoming on what the final thing could be, or if they would subsidize consumers if it does go above a certain price, which you should almost guarantee. If you're going to have that project go ahead, right? Because otherwise, what are you saying to people? It could be twice as big. The bills as they are now could be 3 times. And what happens to consumers? Any protection at all? They're going to guarantee. You know what I mean?
Charlie, I got to go. I got to run the news on that note. But I got to tell you, you are reflecting to me a little bit of where my kind of thoughts have moved on this, and I you know, and. I've come out basically saying I don't think this is a great deal anymore.
No,
the more I've looked
I
at
hope the thing fails now, and I hope that it becomes an election issue in Newfoundland because we place too much trust in these companies, and they do make major mistakes. In this case, it would be a mega mistake at our expense.
Yeah, because to me, logic says you build it and you generate it for 10 and you sell it for 14. We got ourselves a business. Let's go do it.
Yeah.
I don't see the other way around.
There's too many unknowns, and it's too little power to be spending that much money. I think a combination of wind plus Holyrood as a backup, I think we could easily do it at much less the cost.
All right.
And just one little note. They say the oil that used at Holyrood is bad oil, Bunker C or something, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is even possible. Can't we look at our own clean oil and getting some of that diverted? Is the contract that strong that you can't use some of the cleaner oil?
Oh,
I don't know that question.
I don't know either. Thank
anyway,
you, sir.
That's just a few thoughts.
Charlie, and they're good thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Have a great day, buddy.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, if you spent $500 million on the redevelopment of Holyrood, and you could burn, let's say, Hibernia oil, which is very, very clean, and it would need some refining. It would be, I don't know. I don't know if you could do it or not. I don't know. I see problems with it. What's the other one? Okay, Muskrat Falls. Hi, Mr. Sims. 10 to 12 years from now, this project will be a shining star. I installed oil-fired in my home 10 years ago because it was cheaper in the long run. Home heating oil was only 29 cents a liter. I haven't ever filled my tank, and I haven't ever filled my tank with oil costing 29 cents. My first fill-up was for 34 cents, and as you know, even at twice that price in today's market, it would be a bargain. With the pressures to come on the consumption of energy in North America, in all likelihood, twice or even 3 times the current rate will be a bargain in our lifetime.